But
Perfect.
thanks again so much for availing yourselves. I know that the diaries are hectic and the year's racing away. And I think just to give a little bit of context, obviously we are quite excited, with the City of Cape Town collaboration to partner with you. But that was like on a one-time basis. But I think there's stuff that we do on a regular and even outside of the City of Cape Town program. And our interests lie more in terms of where there's a more long-term collaborative opportunity, and just for us to have a clearer understanding of what the mandate of Productivity SA is, how our audiences, because we essentially represent two communities, one being the SME kind of national business network, um, and the second being the local procurement, well, actually local and African procurement communities across both public and private sector. So I think, it's very important, and often we get to meet partners through other partners or clients, and we kind of we see ourselves as this, as almost like a train, and we keep adding, new tracks and new partners and new cargo as we go. So yeah, really excited. And I think maybe if I can just ask, have you been a part of Smart Procurement or any of our events or any of our communities before the City of Cape Town initiative?
Not that I can recall. Yeah.
Only we were partners, or still partners, with the City of Cape Town for the last 2 years, with the program, which is geared at helping SMEs to improve their performance and productivity. That's the only relationship that we had with them. In fact, until it became clear from conversations, I was convinced that this is part of the City of Cape Town initiative. Until Smart Procurement became so prevalent that I had to ask the question. I think it was Nyasha or Paulina that, how do you guys link up with the City of Cape Town? And then the fuller scope in terms of how it all works, how you partner. I think Paulina explained it to me the last time we had a chat. And I've got to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it definitely. And it's such a pity. We get excited when we meet guys that we should have met 13 years ago. But again, it's also such a pity because there's so much that we've been doing for such a long time, and even on your side. So maybe let me start with a bit of an introduction in terms of who we are, how we play in the space, and then I'd love to hand over to you to just take us through, who you are, how you play in the space, and kind of what the core audience objectives are. Okay. So Smart Procurement is a division of a holding company called Commerce Edge South Africa. And we actually represent, or the holding company is an education and training brand. And we've been training and educating supply chain and procurement professionals for the last almost 30 years now. We recognize as the largest sub-studies center for Africa. So we don't just train local professionals, but we also do the training into Africa as well. We've also partnered with the Stellenbosch University, and our programs go all the way up to postgraduate. So in the past, there was no, you don't just get out of school typically and decide I want to be a supply chain or procurement practitioner. It's not a very common career path. But over the last few years, our team has really been kind of championing that universities now offer a degree in procurement and supply chain. So that's one of the things that we're doing with the Stellenbosch University. Smart Procurement is the community development arm of Commerce Edge. So we've been essentially hosting events and networking and training outside of our standalone programs for the last 18 years now. And it started off, legend has it, because I'm too young for way back then, but legend has it that 18 years ago, we launched our first ever Smart Procurement Conference. And the idea was, we were training all these kind of CPO and two-tier below professionals. And there was regulation, there was new strategies, there will be codes coming into play, and kind of supply chain, or rather procurement, almost works as a siloed function, right? So your mandate is to enable the organizational strategic thing, but also to act as a go between the supplier and the organization. So ultimately, you have two clients. But often they work very siloed. There's no community, there's no kind of benchmarking and global trending all those years ago. So the idea was then to put together a 2-day event, kind of, chat around what was happening, the key trends at that time, and obviously just to ignite some networking. So that was 50 people and 18 years ago. And fast forward, we're now running our flagship event is our Johannesburg Indaba. It's 1,000-person or 1,000 professionals, procurement professionals that come every year in the second week. So this year it's the 10th and 11th of September at the Gallagher Convention Center in Midrand. And we also subsequently launched the same concept in the different regions pre-COVID. So we launched it in KZN, in the Western Cape, in Free State, and in 2020, we were actually busy going into the Eastern Cape to launch when COVID happened. And then the ESD side of it, so obviously procurement kind of sits at the helm of ESD implementation. And what we saw kind of 13 years ago, was that, there were all these brilliant ESD initiatives and programs, but often the businesses are successfully supported in two ways. You can train them, you can upskill them, you can give them business development support. And on the other side, you can give them access to funding in the form of grants or loans. But the one kind of key point or the key pain is access to market. And often, beneficiaries coming out of an ESD program, they equipped, they are supported, developed, they invested in, but often they actually just become an extended employee of whichever organization has supported them. And so, you'd find like Sun International, they spend lots of money, time, all of that on the business, but that linen supplier actually even 3 years down the line has only ever done business with Sun International. And so what we identified was an opportunity to take all these credible businesses from our procurement network and give them an opportunity to piggyback off our event and get the access to market. And for each of the corporates to say, look, these are the 20 suppliers that we've developed, we believe in, they're part of our supply chain, and we'd now like to introduce them to the other sectors. So that's essentially what we've been doing. ABSA is our anchor partner on the Indaba, on the national event. Pre-COVID, we had kind of 350 hosted SMEs on an annual basis at the ESD Indaba. It was a large-scale exhibition, 2-day conference, on-floor theaters. And then we did our first post-COVID face-to-face event in 2022, right? Yeah, so so 2022. We took the decision there to make the event a closed event. So we didn't want to open it up to visitors in 2022. And we also changed up. So, going into the pandemic, I think it proved to us that as much as a lot of bad things came out of it, there were also a lot of ways that we discovered to be more productive, right? And just like how we're able to sit now wherever we are and have this meeting, so too we realize that the access to market and the training and the support and all of that can still happen, whether it's within the context of an event or not. And so a lot of our access to market now happens online as well, and kind of building up to the national Indaba. And then we also have the ad hoc projects. So the city of Cape Town, that's a relationship that we've had since 10 years ago. And they were actually one of they started off being obviously the host city partner for the Western Cape Procurement Conference, because that used to be at the CTICC all those years ago. And then slowly we kind of, leveled up the program, and we were like, actually, we can do a more, dedicated program for the city. And now the City of Cape Town Smart Supplier Program, which is that, the networking event that we had, was a part of that. That is now in its 9th iteration. And the idea really is, how can we, upskill or rather level up businesses in the way that they need it right now. So a lot of the programs, you see, and even we were doing it pre-COVID, is kind of, copy paste, and you say, okay, everybody come into this room, let's train you, let's develop you, but you're developing everybody and you're giving them all support on the same level. But in 2020, when we were busy doing fun things, because there was not a time for people in the business of mass gatherings to be making money. So suddenly you start thinking, how can I do things differently? How can I actually create more impact for the SMEs? We launched a community, an active and growing community called the SME Clinic. And the idea behind that, at the time, it was purely pandemic response, right? So every big and small businesses were kind of caught deer in headlights, and global supply chains came to a halt. And I guess the pandemic was, the crisis nobody saw coming. And at the time, there were all these different, it was corporates as well as government institutions that were doing kind of COVID relief and, business recovery and whatever. But there was not a common place where businesses could actually go and say, okay, well, how do I actually, I want to access the TRS fund, but I don't really know how to do it. How do I go about doing it? I want to sell more than PPE, but who's looking for what right now, and how do I access those buyers? And so we created the SME Clinic as kind of almost like a business remedy center. And we said, okay, we'll host weekly webinars. And it just started off as masterclasses. We had government institutions, we had private sector guys, we had coaches and trainers, and they just came every week and kind of gave very practical insight. And then from there, we realized that actually the face of the world is changing, and a big thing with our ESD programs is participation levels, and you've got X amount, you've onboarded this cohort, but at the end of the program, you realize that 50% of them haven't even participated. And if you go back and ask why, the reason is, it was very almost like a sausage factory. We were trying to do the same thing and give the same level of support to every business. And so we leveled, or rather we added an additional part of the SME Clinic, where we now have a voucher system. So now we work with corporate partners and some government partners, and we say, okay, we can be an ESD service provider to you, and we can ask, we can support your beneficiaries by asking them, what do you need? What do you need in order to grow, to level up, or to overcome the challenges your business currently has? And the result of that is we have 50 independent business consultants that contract to the SME Clinic, and they are business professionals in all different spheres. So we've got accountants, we've got labor law practitioners, we've got lawyers, we've got marketing and digital strategists, like it's across the board. And when we onboard an SME now, it's a very individual customer. So we understand, where are you at? What is the level that you need to be at? And how can we, via a voucher system, use your allocated funds to support you in a way that's going to be the most impactful for your business? So that's kind of on the training side. And then obviously everything that we do is matched with the access to market. So the event last week, Monday, was just one part of Paulina, is like a 8-month program that we do with the city, right? And that's kind of ongoing supplier matchup. It's one-on-one linkages where we go and we kind of facilitate one-on-one meetings with the SMEs. It's inviting them to all of the other master classes that we do. So it's quite extensive. The SME Clinic has a community of about 16,500 businesses from across SA on it. And we do bi-weekly masterclass. So we do these bi-weekly 1-hour masterclass sessions on a Thursday. I don't know if Paulina's shared the invite to any of the sessions, but it works very much like the supplier matchup session that we had. But it obviously it's a lot, it's faster. It's just a 45-minute training and then Q&A, and then off you go with your day. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, I'm sure there's more, but that's kind of who we are, how we play in the space. Our procurement community, I think we've also expanded. We expanded the concept of procurement and linkage for suppliers into Africa as well. So we were going region by region pre-COVID. We had gone into Southern Africa, so we did an event there for 3 years in Zambia and Zim. We went into West Africa and we did events in Ghana. We were going into East Africa in 2020, and we obviously put a pause on that. But in 2020, what we decided was, sorry?
And Mauritius, obviously.
Sorry?
And Mauritius someday.
Yes, of course. That's what we all are here for. We're just like waiting. So we decided in 2020 that, just like how there's no physical barrier for people in South Africa, why should there be a physical a barrier for people across Africa and even beyond? And so we partnered with SAPIX, who's the Supply Chain Institute, Community Institute or body, industry body, in 2020, and we launched an initiative called Africa Supply Chain in Action. And it's exactly what the Smart Procurement Indaba stands for. So it's, bringing professionals, but bringing them now online. And at that time, it was, the idea was, global supply chains came to a halt. How can we as African supply chain and procurement practitioners respond to this and support each other? And then obviously, naturally, the byproduct from that was, okay, now we've got this active. So I think in year 1, we had 65 countries, so obviously outside of SA, and we had over 1,000 attendees come together online for year 1. And then we launched a co-located event for that the following year called Made in Africa. So now we do Africa Supply Chain in Action, and it's co-located with MIA, which is Made in Africa. And the tagline for that event is by Africa for Africa, as in BUI. And the idea is that, there's there's Africa free trade, there's all these fancy regulations and kind of inter-country agreements and all of that. But the two main people in this equation often don't know what all these high-level things mean, and they also don't know where to find each other. So the buyer sitting in Coca-Cola in Nigeria, he knows that he would love to drive localization, but he doesn't know how to find suppliers across the African continent. And kind of our online event, it happens in March annually. I think this year we had 2,500 registered attendees. I think we had about 45 countries, but we also have a French track, so a Francophone track there. And APSA was our anchor partner again for the Made in Africa event. So yeah, that's kind of in a quick nutshell. And I know I speak really fast, and it is Friday. So you can ask me any questions. And yeah, if there's any kind of clarity that you need from there.
I think we really appreciate that background information, because it helps us to understand who we're dealing with. Obviously, I know now that there's more. There's so much more which I was not aware of. It's an exciting time for us to have this discussion with you, because we start our year in April 1st, and then we push through to 31st March next year. During this time, we've got a lot of relationships with clients, as well as a lot of relationships with stakeholders who might benefit from attending these sessions. That's why the other day, I think when I was speaking to Pauline, I was like, how about establishing something like this outside the city of Cape Town? And she was like, but we're in the Western Cape. And I'm like, oh, okay. So because I was worried about bringing it up because there's a invisible barrier that Stellenbosch and Somerset West, some of those areas are not part of the City of Cape Town kind of like jurisdiction, so that other companies cannot benefit. So now that I understand it a little bit better, it's more exciting. We as a company, we are Productivity SA. Back in I think in the 60s, we were part of productivity. We were called NPI, which is National Productivity Institute at those times, right? And then which was part of CSIR.
We were established in 1969, so
yeah. So we've come a long way.
Wow, that's a long time.
So back in 2006-ish, somewhere there, we broke away from the whole big group. Then we were then called Productivity South Africa. So this is basically us. That's the work that we do. We've got three main activities that we pride ourselves that we do. In fact, there are four. We help businesses with turnaround strategies and basically around CIS, which is competitive improvement services. This is like 4-month or 6-month projects that we do under the banner of Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. And we supported, now we just partnered with ILO, International Labour Organization, as well as QPI, which is under JICA, which is the Japanese Institute, which is supporting the Africa initiative. So we partnered with those companies. And then we've got another leg in the business, which is called BTNR, which is Business Turnaround and Recovery. In the business turnaround and the recovery leg, sorry, my phone was ringing and it just sent everything to my iPad as well. Sorry. My laptop is down there in the office busy charging. I hadn't have it on charge. I apologize for that. So we support businesses that are in financial distress. And then we come in and then we do an analysis based on their AFSs and then their financial statements and give us the view over the 2-year period. We do the ratios and we assist those businesses to help them by identifying key deliverables, and then we support them in that. In that program, we've also partnered with other SMMEs or service providers, which we vet and they register in our database. For an example, I was doing some work in Velcom and I needed someone to help us with marketing and digital marketing space so that the company can have presence. It was an institution that deals with education. And we don't have those skills internally because we mainly have engineers as well as management background people, from chemical engineering to electrical engineering, as well as obviously industrial engineering, and some management people that have got those skills. So we're not marketers, we don't have that knowledge. And some people even ask us things around procurement and we don't have that skill. So we pull then from the pool of service providers to actually partner with us. They bill us, we then pay the customer. They bill us and then they provide the service to the customer. And then we manage the project and the relationship between us and service provider and make sure that the customer gets the service that they want. You might be wondering, where do we get our money from? For the CIS program, we get our money from GTIC. They give us the support and also other partners that we meet, like City of Cape Town, for those projects around Kaizen. But for the BTNR program, we get our money from the UIF. They've got a fund that they put aside for us to help those businesses that are in distress. Of course, we are under the banner of DEL, Department of Employment and Labor, we refer to them as our principal and our parents. So we have to make sure that we adhere to all the regulations that abide that, like the PFMA, for example, to make sure that we don't steer away from those regulations. We abide by those things. What have I not said? Oh yeah, then we've got a consultancy leg as well in the business. We should be busy revamping and building up as we go along. We've started some relationship with the University of Cape Town, where we're providing with their entrepreneurship program that they run internally. They've then sourced our services where we go there and then we train them on what is productivity, why is productivity involved. So we've done an introduction a month ago. on productivity, because every year they take in some companies that they train in their entrepreneurial program. We then provide the service in empowering them in terms of what productivity is all about. And in those sessions, then we build from there to another module, we build from there to another module. We've also partnered with a company called EPI, which is basically under DigiBiz. They basically are Entrepreneurial Planning Institute. So those guys, what they do is they've got a body of companies that are registered with them. So we this year have provided 2 modules with them online. And the module was on quality management, the first one. Just explain to them why quality is important as a business owner. And when we do these programs in person, we also do a quality assessment. We ask one of the companies to bring a product that they manufacture, and then we do a quality index assessment on that so that we can tell them where are their opportunities. Okay, we do what is called DPMO, which is defects per million opportunities. We identify what could go wrong with their product. And do they have enough touch points in their processes to be able to catch those things and rectify them and avoid customer complaints. And then if it's not in person, we do that online, like these 2 last modules, we did them online, and then we try and break away to groups. Fortunately, DigiBiz, they've got a nice system which allows people to go and discuss things away, and then they come back and they give feedback, and then we assist on that. The second module that we did with them was process mapping. Process mapping is a key thing because it's been said in the realm of continuous improvement and lean studies that if you cannot explain what you do in a process, you don't know what you're doing. If somebody had said to me that here's a cake, let's have it, and I ask them, how did you make it? They're like, don't worry about it, let's eat it. I'll probably not eat it because I don't know exactly what they put inside. But if they take me through the broad steps as well as the detail, if we have time, I'll be like, man, can you teach me? That's basically what you want to have, empowering of other people and exposing other people to opportunities where they can be an extension of you to actually be able to grow your business further. So the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, normally follow from that. After you've done the process mapping, then you can build on that. And projects also come from that, which we actually identify for the businesses that we help under BT and RLEC as well as CIS, where we now say, where in your process are you having issues? They identify the part. Then we unpack that part and address the issues in that area. We map that process even into smaller steps, and then we even collect data if we need to, like in the manufacturing space or agro processing companies, which is basically what we focus on, manufacturing, agro processing, as well as, I think those are the 2 big ones that we focus on. So we then help those companies in that space with solutions and knowledge and implementation, because we're there with them on a weekly basis and guide them through their journey. So that's in a nutshell what we do at Productivity SA, unless there's something I didn't mention, Mr. Mnguni. Oh, okay, great. He's happy.
So I'm not going to add anything because I think it's covered everything, ladies. Suffice it to say, we really try to partner with organizations, whether it's single organizations or partner organizations like yours, to leave our client with a sense that they have deepened their understanding and knowledge of their client, their customer, who pays their salaries and who helps them to generate revenue, and that their products and services come from a reliable process, whether it's a service-oriented business or a product or production-based business, and that when decisions are taken and as they grow and develop, they are doing so on a solid background or foundation of data, of structured problem solving, planning, constant checking, reflection on their methods. Because if you cannot reproduce what you did yesterday, you probably are planning to fail sooner or later. And eventually, just ensuring that businesses are able to make decisions and become independent in and of themselves in taking their destiny forward and not depending only on circumstances for their growth. We ensure that as we leave, the infrastructure is there for them to be able to run with it without us constantly being there. And I know that, very often when we talk consultant, there's always this very, very bad connotation of dependency.
Yeah.
We want to let go or run away from that connotation, because when we leave, we actually want to have the business in a position where they're able to actually understand why they're not performing as well as they should, and be able to take meaningful action to correct their course and move towards their destination or their North Star. I'll pause there. Thank you very much.
The other thing that I was interested in is your flagship programs that you were talking about earlier, that you have them in Johannesburg and other regions. I want to hear a little bit more about those. It sounds like it's an opportunity for Productivity SA to also expose what we do in those sessions. And perhaps, like, for example, today we were sitting in a meeting with Booster Fund in Western Cape. They're giving us a briefing
for the economic development.
So they're giving us an overview in terms of how they're going to implement it differently this year. And in that session, someone on the side just requested, I want to talk to you outside this meeting, because they saw an opportunity, they saw the need. And then I WhatsApped her and a partner, we had a conversation. And now they look like they're going to be part of the next intake that we're taking for our business, because now they're getting they're seeing the need to actually get supported as well by the work that we do, because I did a short brief in terms of what we do. So those are the type of opportunities that I think that other companies, we can be an extension, a partner, and work with you as stakeholders or in some form or shape, like I was saying to Paulina, because you guys are keen to get into the Northern Cape. I'm going there Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm coming back, so I could whisper some, plant some seeds there, and enable at least a smoother transition, at least maybe an awareness, because we're going to be dealing with people that are in the development, in the economic development leg of the business. We're doing with CEDA, specifically speaking at the CEDA event, and we'll be dealing with other government people that will be there that are making some decisions in the region. So it might not be a bad idea to have a script that I must stick to, and then share a little something and squeeze it with them, so that by the time you guys go and speak to those regions or to that region, things at least it's like one hand washes the other one. That's basically why I was asking about your flagship programs, to see whether there's an opportunity for us to come and whisper some things in that, whether it's us from Cape Town speaking there or it's our colleagues, because we've got the regions around the country. We've got 3 regions. One is the region 2, which is us here in the Western Cape, which we're responsible for Northern Cape and Free State. And then there's a region 2, also region 1, which is Johannesburg and surrounding areas, as well as Durban, which also includes the Northwest, as well as the Eastern Cape. So we have these teams of practitioners in these different regions that are servicing the countrywide. So we don't have to be the ones that are physically there, but we would like to extend this to our other colleagues as well. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking us through that. I only have one question, like, where have we been all this time? Because there's so much of synergy, and it just feels wrong. And also, like, all your partners and stakeholders are our partners and we've also worked extensively with the DTIC. We actually used to support, I used to work directly on the Black Industrialist program pre-COVID. And obviously that's like quite established businesses, well, different levels of businesses, but we used to do kind of access to market via our Indaba for a number of the Black industrialists for a while. And then obviously
you would have received some of them. You would have received some of them, Keshni, from me in Witbank Mpumalanga.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I was at CEDA at the time.
Wow.
Okay, yes. So, and yeah, we do work extensively with CEDA, and CEDA's also hosted SMEs at our event before. So I think there's 2 levels. So I'm, from understanding, and Paulina, you're welcome to jump in as well. I think there's 2 levels of partnership. I think on one, we would definitely look to do almost like a MOU, right? And to have like an endorsement partnership where we say that by virtue of what you do and what we do, there is synergy, and we would like to kind of have a standing partnership, right? And we give your network access to our things and all the events, platforms, all of that we do. And we do the same for you, we give you access and whatever. And then on the second level, and this is where the not difficult, I think the money conversation comes in, is our event. There's two exhibitions that happen. So on the one side, it's the ESD Expo, and we've got all the SMEs. So we've got about 1,200 SMEs with the visitor attendance. So we got about 300 hosted. And then on day 2 of the event, we have a visitor element. So it's open to visitors. And those visitors are about 80% SMEs, but there's also a handful of corporate and government procurement practitioners that come and walk the expo. And then hall 2, the second exhibition, is for just the procurement delegation. And I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, there is an opportunity for you to tap into both audiences, right? Because on the one, you can kind of show the SMEs and kind of even engage and onboard new clients. And on the procurement side, I mean, big and small businesses are your clients. So on the procurement side, it can be twofold. You can speak about what you can do for the corporate, but also how you can piggyback off their programs as well. If they have ESD funds, programs, all of that. So the opportunity there, I think, is endless. And we also have quite a high level program and the conference program and all of that. And I'd love to position you guys so that there is that thought leadership and kind of brand awareness created via that event. Obviously, there is a physical cost for that. So what I can do is send you guys just the prospectus, so you get an idea of what the overall packages are. And then you can come back to me and say, okay, this is kind of what level of partnership we would like. Also, it always helps if we kind of transparent in the form of, actually we would like this, but this is what our budget is, and then we can kind of map and see how close we can come to what we want versus what we can afford. So that's, so I think there's 2 levels. And then obviously on the regional, so like what we've done with the provincial treasury, so the George event, it's kind of, so the George event is actually our Western Cape regional, the one that used to happen in Cape Town. But post-COVID, they brought it back last year. So it had like a 2-year break. And then they decided that actually we don't want this event to happen just in the one municipality anymore. We wanted to travel across different municipalities so that we can do some local economic development every time that 250 procurement professionals from Treasury and all the departments now have to go and do an event. So there's like a whole ecosystem you can imagine. We did the event in George. It's not the CTICC, so you can imagine. It was business like none of the locals were prepared for, and also like it was the largest event that the Wilderness Hotel hosted from their existence, right? So it was a huge, beyond just the conference, it was a huge kind of development opportunity as well. But yeah, we do that. We do kind of ad hoc projects with clients across the country. In fact, you spoke about the Free State. Our anchor partner for the Free State was the DSTEA. So it was the Department of Economic Tourism. Yeah, right? I'm getting it right. DSTEA. So it's we worked with them, and they kind of brought us there on the premise that they wanted us just to do the ESD Expo, and then we were like, no, we have to include the provincial treasury, and we have to have that buy-sell element to attract both the audiences. So yeah, I think in terms of your region, we definitely have kind of the footprint and the network, but also outside of those regions and a more national base, I think we would love to kind of cement an affiliate partnership and then take it from there. And then I think it's also just understanding. So now that we've created kind of a nice overview, and you created an overview. I think it's now sharing with you what our event schedule is or what our program schedule is for the whole year, and you doing the same for us, and then understanding how we can tap into each one.
Great.
So yeah, I think Pauline, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I think you filled in a lot of gaps, Kesha. I think I think the only thing maybe just to touch base on, but I think it's just to give Philip just some sort of a bigger perspective about the Northern Cape, since you are traveling there next week. So I have a document and that, and Kesh and I was going to discuss after this meeting just to finalize and tap down a little bit into that before I share it with you, so that you have a holistic approach, and it just gives a full breakdown of the purpose of it, who our target audience is, and what opportunities there are within the event for people to collaborate, partner, sponsor, whatever the case may be. But yeah, also just to touch base, we are going to try and target a lot of the mines as well, because a lot of our database from within Northern Cape are the mining SMMEs within the mining sector. So we really are going to target companies, different mining companies, and I've spoken to two people that have a bunch of contacts that's planting seeds now and potentially can develop into constructive conversations in a few weeks, where we can tie it down a bit more. So that just to give you a bit of an insight into that, and considering that we've never done something in Northern Cape specifically, the whole idea is to make it a big impactful event, not have any sort of missing hoops. We want to make the day that the SMMEs can walk away having benefited in one way or the other. So that just gives you sort of our focus for the day. And once I have that document ready today, I'll send it through to you, so you have it to share when you're there.
Thank you so much. I want you to ask something around the partnership with the local treasury in that area. Does this then help, in your opinion, that approach, does it help to spread the word quicker and get buy-in quicker to the rest of the municipalities in that region?
Definitely. I think we also witnessed that in Western Cape. If we get the support from the municipalities, it allows a broader network of SMMEs to be exposed to, also and educated as well, because this is also an education process of empowering SMMEs, of understanding different processes when it comes to vendor registration, time it takes from becoming a vendor to receiving jobs, and all of it is also expanding their eyes to go, listen here, don't try and put all your eggs in one basket. There's multiple businesses that you can service with your product or service. So the idea is to empower them to spread their wings and embrace a bit more than just what they're comfortable with and what they're used to. And if you get the municipalities and provincial treasury on board, then to hear from those people in Western Cape, they did sort of 15 to 20 minute sessions just on how processes working with those government departments or municipalities work, is an additional tool to empower those SMMEs, so that they all more within the know of how it works, and that there's a cohesive relationship between government and supplier, because there's a big gap in understanding of how government works and how tenders are awarded. So all of that works cohesively together, and to get the government support will definitely add, how could I say it would make a lot more companies also buy into it and join on, because of their support from government that's accredited to a sense. There's a lot more security in the effectiveness on the event, and it will create a much bigger impact.
Yeah. If I can also just add, it's twofold. So one, yes, having the treasury buy-in always helps, and it kind of helps them to achieve their mandate as well, right? Because there is, every local municipality as well as a provincial treasury, their mandate is to enable their suppliers and to create, an open communication line. It doesn't always work that we work. So for instance, for our flagship event, ironically, even though it's a 3,000 person event and whatever, we don't have any formal. So we have the treasury, the national treasury, the office of the CPO. They come, they speak, they are part of it, but they're not a part of it in the same way that the Western Cape is, like where it's like their provincial mandate and they are taking ownership of it. It's almost like we're working independently and they're just plugging into what we're doing. So even here, like we were speaking this morning, like the city of Joburg, they should be championing this, because in so many ways and forms, this is an event that ticks all the boxes that the local municipality would want. So often it needs to be a balance. So even when we work with the government, we also find that in order for it to be beneficial, we have to have a balance between the private sector coming in as well. Because, SMEs are all different levels and business, I think in today's day and age, time and money are our two most expensive resources. So if I've taken the time out of my day to go somewhere, it needs to be that I'm going to walk away and it's going to be worth my time and my money spent. So often when we do this, so you'll see even with the city, we try and balance and also get the private sector procurement guys to come in to support it and whatever. And then secondly is wherever we go, someone needs to fit the bill, right? So these events take lots of investment. And, when we went to George, we had to literally erect a full-on tent, like a professional, because there was no venue closest to the conference. So we had to literally erect a huge commercial tent and then build it up. So it's literally from carpet to ceiling to everything, lighting to power that you have to, and it's almost like R1 million investment just to host those 300 businesses that were, the attendees that came for that event. So yeah, wherever we go, region to region, the idea is we definitely, we want to do it because it's what we're passionate about, and we want to make a mark and leave an impact. But secondly, it also needs to make sense in terms of who's supporting it, how are we funding this. Is it going to be a collaboration? Is it going to be one partner that's hosting it? Or, are we going to get a number of partners from that region to band together and say, okay, this is what we want to do, and we are going to, kind of partner with smart procurement to get this done. Yeah, you unmute, sorry.
Sorry, my apology. I was just thinking now, how do we move forward? I know you're going to probably draft the MOU and give us the packages that you guys have. Then we're going to have to nibble on that and make a decision and then come back to you. But even with that MOU that we're going to be doing on the side, but what other opportunities, what could we be doing with some of the partners that you have in the marketplace now? I mean, I mentioned to you earlier on that with NPI, we do, with EPI, we're doing some training sessions for them online, 2-hour webinars and the like on certain modules. Could you potentially see an opportunity to incorporate that in the product offering for some of the SMMEs as a way to say, guys, listen, join us online. This is what we're offering. This is what's going to happen. I'm not sure on your side if you're going to be billing for those things or not, if it's going to be free. And in-person ones we can even do as well, where maybe they contribute something or we get another partner to actually fund it so that at least there can be some kind of income generation and for both parties, yours and ours. On top of it, we don't have to potentially charge the client, the SMME that's coming in, because we're going to be giving them some material or maybe some work to do, worksheets, and then we have a follow-up session so that it's a regular impartation of knowledge and also checks to see if they're applying the skills, if they're growing from it, if they're benefiting from it. Ultimately, we want this business not only to make profit, but we want them to be sustainable in the future. But the foundation has to be solid enough for them to see the progression. And it can be a proud moment for some of the bigger events that you guys have when they come through and they do a show and tell, in terms of this is where we were, this is where we're going. If in case it's not part of your program right now, it could be something that we could incorporate into it. It's a story on its own that tells 1,000 words, especially when the person speaks from their own experience with
Yeah.
this partnership that we're forging forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Mm.
definitely think there's an opportunity for us to plug in right away. So like I said, the SME clinic, we just I think last week launched an app. So it's called if you go into App Store or Play Store, um it's called the SME community, right, Paulina? And the idea is to take, so we've got a WhatsApp community group, which is like over 5,000 SMEs that are on that. But it becomes a bit messy because, we obviously can't keep a WhatsApp group open all the time because then everybody will just be spammed and you'll have no space on your phone. But we wanted one place. And so we created this app. Well, we work in partnership with the colleague. I don't know if you know, her name's Elmarie Goosen, and she runs the Clinic with Purpose, but she's our partner on the SME clinic side. And the idea behind the app is just to create a regular community and a regular place of interaction, whether it's networking. Oh, there we go. You have it. You're on it already. Have you just
I
downloaded
just
it or are
got
you
it
on it?
just now. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So when you go on there, you'll see what we're trying to achieve. The idea is to get before the end of this year to get at least 8 to 10,000 SMEs that, adopted the app and kind of actively. There's a lot of, I think there's a big also lost opportunity with SMEs where they constantly want to pitch their business to corporate or government clients, and they do not realize that all these training sessions, all these opportunities that I'm doing, I'm sitting next to a business owner. I have another fellow prospect or collaborator that's right next to me. So the SME clinic kind of tries to stimulate that next level networking and saying, okay, as SMEs, we can buy and sell to each other and we can actually plug in opportunities. So it's quite a number of things that goes on there. So it's access, there's a training group, there's an event group, there's groups within the different sectors, there's regular master classes. So even the sessions that you're speaking about now, we could definitely just, share it with the network. And when you're having it, you can give us the information and we can promote it on those groups. And then where it comes to collaborating and kind of going after almost creating a commercial opportunity that's equally beneficial, we would most definitely be open to that. I think we do have almost like a standardized pricing around, what it is that we do and what the kind of, general cost is. And then there's two ways. So sometimes we could work on a referral fee where it's like, we come in and we say, agree that this is the referral fee for every, even with host partners. So sometimes where we work with I'm going to use incubators as an example, and we'd go to Edge Growth and we'd say, okay, Edge Growth, if you bring X amount of corporates to our event, you are entitled to a referral fee. So that's one. And then two is if we kind of just collab completely and we go together and do an event, we kind of on the outset say, okay, what does each of us want out of this event? How much is the event going to cost? And then based on that, or even if it's not an event, this initiative, and then beyond that, we go 50-50. So that's kind of, the models that we're quite keen to work on. I think where I'm really excited is, a lot of the time we don't have the right ears on a government level. So, we're doing so much of stuff, but it's almost like we're doing it alone without the DTIC support, without the Department of Small Business. We pitch and they know what, but I don't think we successful in getting to the right ears. It's like somebody needs to kind of see how this works, and it's not your typical networking show or whatever. It's a on purpose, impactful, credible, long-standing platform that we've garnered relationships that span for many years now. So I think it's there's an opportunity for you to kind of give us or help us to open more doors for so that we can go and pitch and say, okay, this is how we partnering with Productivity SA, and we'd like to involve you and for you to as a partner of Productivity SA to come and also be a part of our platform. I think that will also be something that we would be really grateful for. But yeah, I think we've discussed a lot of options. I think the first is for us to maybe just unpack, how we see immediate plugins, where we see immediate plugins. So that's that's one. And then two, I think it's the MOU. And then three, I think it's us understanding what kind of commercial partnership exists and how that model looks that's going to be beneficial, equally beneficial.
Fantastic. Sir?
No, covered. Thank you very much.
Fine. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Often, ladies, I'm sitting here just digesting what is being said. I'm also just looking at this meeting in relation to the ones that I attended before. You'll find initially when we have our first conversation, tendency is for it to be exploratory in nature. I know for a fact that my previous meeting, there's a definite need for us to not meet again this time, but drive there and see physically what they do. Because that was the nature. I mean, we met for an hour, that's why I was late. And there was just a lot that was shared from their side and from my side as well. And you can see by, a few things. They are stakeholder relationships, their mandates, their customers. You can see that there's a definite fit, but maybe, it's developing still. Like, I don't know how old you ladies are, but I grew up in the days where, you take a photo, it needs to go and be developed and it comes back.
Yeah, so, me too.
You've just given away your age. The point I'm making is, as we are working on the memorandum and as we look at our notes, certainly when I listen carefully to what you are saying, I mean, we seem to be servicing similar markets. The assumption that is always made is that when there is a market, all problems are solved. Yeah. Nothing could be further from the truth. Give the clients, the customers, then you realize they were never ready to begin with. They don't have the capacity, they don't have systems, processes. The one guy who started his business at home in a dining room has now moved to a 20, 30, 40, 100 square meter business service environment. They now have to deal with delegation, leaving stuff to other people while they go and look for more business. The people that they've left behind have no clue how it is that this business survived for 5 years, because no records have been kept, there are no processes, nothing. So I think we fit in hand in glove in the sense that there seems to be some form of complementarity in terms of what we do. Perhaps that could still be further defined so that, we're also happy to do some work initially pro bono, because we want to act in good faith. We're not out there to make money at all costs. We always actually prefer a small slice in terms of the platform, so that we can demonstrate what it is that we can do, share some of our case studies, maybe work towards a case study of 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 businesses that you would like to see some improvement on. Of course, we don't profess expertise in everything. We're very clear on what it is that we are good at. We're also very clear on things that we don't do very well. We are not, for example, in the business of offering finance for businesses. And we are also not in the business of creating markets necessarily. However, when it comes to sound business management, with an angle or a lens of productivity, processes, clarity on your customers, understanding how it is that the business adds value, and not try to be a master of all and a jack of all, because no business does that. And I think for any business that says this is our strategy, and they paint a very, very colorful picture, but they don't actually tell you what it is that they don't do, there's a problem already.
Yeah.
So I think for me, just reflecting on the conversation, certainly there's scope for us to work together. Perhaps when we see the MOU, perhaps as we reflect on the notes that we've taken, and I mean, for example, you mentioned an event. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. It would be nice to go there.
The September event.
There's a September event, and from the presentation that we attended, that you allowed us the platform to present on. When was this? 28th.
Yes.
Yeah. There have been some interesting follow-ups. Some of them we definitely can help. Some of them we've referred to some of our partners like SIFA. Some of them we've referred to CEDA. Some of them, like this one gentleman who called me and we had a meeting 2 days ago, is part of a cohort supported by AfriSet, I believe, in the mining industry in Kathu. I've said to him, look, we can definitely support you further so that you can understand the subject of productivity even further, with obviously some work for you to do in between our sessions, maybe 4 weeks apart or so. And if you are quite keen, invite these 30 businesses or link us up with the AfriSet person that is managing this ESG program. So there's definitely value. I mean, you've exposed us to 200 odd people, which also has helped us to report. He's sitting here smiling because he has surpassed some of his targets. Thanks to you
already.
I mean, so there's certainly value. Of course, we still need to refine and carve out specifically what it is that we can do as early as tomorrow, acknowledging that tomorrow is a holiday. So that you can look back and say, you know what, it was a good shot for us to actually meet these people. They've helped us to do ABC, which is meaningful for us and our stakeholders or our shareholders. And certainly we can do the same. Yeah. We are all about value.
I love that. Yeah.
So I can share with you for free, but I said to that gentleman, his name is Mr. Lenge. He even taught me some his mother language. Well, only thank you in language spoken in Angola. The point I'm making is, I said to him, I'm making a commitment to you. We can give you a full day's worth of a workshop for free, where if you can just organize a venue for us, where we will go in depth in what we gave you in 30 minutes.
Yes.
We can go in depth in Kathu. Yes. We will fly ourselves there. We will prepare the material. All we just want is an opportunity to be there for the full 8 hours, give these people practical solutions to some of their problems. We can then visit maybe in 4 to 8 weeks and see how they are doing. Then there is us saying we are prepared to lay our capital up front, do the work pro bono, an 8-hour day, his cost per day when he does what he does, and the flight and the food and the car that he drives from the airport. It's already a commitment we are making. But we want to make this commitment because we do believe that those people, as they implement what we share with them, as they see the results for themselves, you are going to then come back to us, Paulina, and say, we like that. How can we expand it to a broader audience? At which point we will then have to ask you to partner with us financially so that
so that we can add a massage
or find another partner who can pay so that we still bring him and four other people, myself included, but it still becomes a sustainable engagement that has no losses, even if it just means recovering costs, so that you don't run a business at a loss, and we also don't run businesses at a loss. Let's put that up front to you in terms of what has already been happened with one of the attendees or participants at that 28th of May event. We've committed. We're happy to do that as soon as we get a date or the facility. Happy to fly over there, or he will do that, or any of my colleagues. I mean, you can already do some mathematics in terms of how much it will cost us. Material, intellectual property, the flight, the accommodation, all of that. You don't have to pay anything. We just want to be there and give what we and do what we do best. But we are hoping that as we do that for you up front, you are hopefully going to see that our heart and our mind are clean, and we want to do good work that supports your agenda and that of the people that really gave rise to our respective mandates.
I think that's brilliant. And I think how we can support that, if you're going all the way, Paulina, I'm gonna jump in here and offer a suggestion. But if you're going to avail yourself, and it doesn't make sense that you're just speaking to one person, right? So maybe we can take the initiative and try and fill a room for you, and create a bigger opportunity. So I think, yeah, firstly, thank you. I think that's amazing, and very generous. And I think secondly, that's exactly how we work as well. We like to prove our worth, and we like to kind of show first the value before we say, okay, this is how much it actually costs, because once you see the value, then the cost becomes just a side note. So what I'm also thinking is we have 2 sessions coming up, right? So the City of Cape Town, that culminates in so next month. Paulina, just correct me with dates. What date is it? 23rd. So the 23rd of July is the final leg of that City of Cape Town program. And what we normally do is we'll have another session, a physical like we did last week, but we also have an online session that's open to the broader community. So it's open to our broader community as well as the city's broader network. It's an online session. And ironically, the theme of that event is we actually want to focus on the risk of being a jack of all trades and a master of none, because a lot of the programs that we do, and I'm sure that you'll raise a hallelujah for this, is the businesses don't want to lose any opportunity, and so they can do landscaping and accounting and put it all in one profile and say we do everything. And we know by experience that when you take a profile like that to a procurement professional, the chances that they are going to trust somebody that has 10 different offerings in 10 different sectors is absolutely zilch. So we also want to, we want to kind of speak about that, and that's kind of the theme. And I'd love for you guys to be a panelist. So we're hoping to get some private sector panelist. We want now if you guys come on board, it'll be almost like from a compliance business process and almost government side. We also want to get one of our kind of SME clinics, so our business doctor there, Almarie, and then we want to get 2 SMEs to come and be a part of that panel and almost make it like a fireside chat and say, okay, what are the pitfalls when you don't go with a clear value proposition into the market? And what is the strengths and weaknesses when you have that spray and pray approach versus when you have a targeted approach? So I'd love to invite you guys to consider being a panelist on that session. You're there. Okay, awesome. And then secondly, yeah.
May I respectfully interject? At the University of Western Cape, 22nd of May, when I introduced ourselves, I actually asked a very simple question. I mean, you're familiar with the BMC, Business Model Canvas. I asked each of the entrepreneurs to tell me or to write it down as they introduce themselves, or as I invited them to introduce themselves. What is your value proposition? You'll be surprised how many could say it at all.
Hardly ever anybody.
And they've been in business for how many years? Some of them 16 years. What is your value proposition? Now, it sounds like a small question, which it is, but the answer from there brings a lot of clarity. So part of the conversation there then was to say, how do you clean up this answer to what is your value proposition? Because if you don't know it as a business owner, how do you expect employees? How do you expect your value chain, your suppliers, your customers to know your value proposition? I'll leave it there. Please carry on.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. So it's also the you get it because business is hard and life is tough, and you never, I think, even me, I'm in sales, right? So like you never want to leave any business on the table, any money on the table. But at the same time, if you're not clear, then people are not going to know what they want to buy, if they want to buy meat from you or if they're going to buy a business solution. So yeah, so that's, we want to kind of, the idea is this now, the Smart Supplier Conference, that's the online one, and it's kind of a preliminary event to the flagship Indaba. So we almost want to test it. We normally do that. We do the panel and we kind of test the viability of it, and we want to run through the same kind of concept for the main Indaba. So, if you guys are keen, and after we've done that session on the 23rd, then we'll confirm you for the hopefully by then we formalize something for the Indaba, and that you've got a stand and all of that. But we'd love then to also invite you to come to the Indaba and have a stand there. But in addition to the program, so in addition to this, there's a Smart Supplier half-day conference, and that's only for the 300 hosted businesses. The second day, the visitor day, we have these 30-minute sessions that happen literally every 30 minutes. So it's either business support, so we call it knowledge hub theaters, and it's either businesses like the Proudly SA, the IDC, coming in and kind of sharing what they do and how they can support businesses. But it's also some corporates that come in and do the supplier matchup in a physical form, and then it's also kind of business workshopping, so it's the kind of practical masterclass sessions. So we can also, if there's interest, like you did for the matchup event on the 28th, we can schedule in one of the 30-minute sessions. So you can come in and speak to what it is that you do, your extended programs, and just create that kind of industry and brand awareness, so people know when they see the brand what it is that you do. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we've discussed. I know, Paulina, I think we got a 4 o'clock, so I'm hoping to feed the kids before that quickly, but I feel like there's so much of synergy and we could go on forever. And definitely, I think this is just the start of something much more long term. But for now, I think let's just put some actionables together, and then let's start working together, and then we kind of build the bus as we go.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for availing yourselves at this beautiful Friday. Well, it's raining in Cape Town, so
oh no,
I can see the sunlight in some of your areas, like behind my sister there. I'm seeing the sunlight, and I'm thinking, it was there. So thank you so much, guys, for making yourselves available, and for Mr. Mnguni. I know he probably got a lot of emails that have come through right now, and I was, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a good start to something brilliant that we can be proud of. I really think one of the things that drive me is when the SMME turns around and saying, I now know why I need to do things this way. Yeah. Instead of the way I've been doing them, then I know that my job is done. When they can be able to identify that and turn and do the right thing, then I'm excited about that opportunity. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Absolutely. We definitely, this is not the first and many more engagements to come. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you guys on the other side.
Fantastic. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care.
Okay. Bye.